Hey guys, welcome to Pocket Saga. So in today's video we are gonna see, what if Ash gets challenged by B for a rematch, movie. This story in Take Me Seriously by Hold On Lupin. I would like to thank the author for this amazing story. Before starting, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you are interested in Pokemon fanfictions. Now without wasting any more time, let's dive in. It was late night in Stow-on-Side. The gym leader B was returning from a month-long travel across several regions, during which she met with various fighting-type experts to test her skills and raise her rank in the World Coronation Series. She was currently in Ultra Class, ranking at number 30 after defeating the Elite Four Marshal. B was currently walking through the streets of the city, simply enjoying the peace while she walked past her gym stadium and made it to her home. "Welcome back, B." Hollister called her, opening the front door of the house a few steps before B reached it. Being her fellow co-gym leader and housemate, he was already expecting her arrival, wearing his pale mask per usual. "Hey, there, Hollister. How was the gym?" B asked, entering the house and leaving her backpack on the floor of the living room before dropping herself to sit on the couch, unable to admit she was exhausted from the travel. "Everything was calm," Hollister answered as he took off his signature mask. "5 challengers in the month you were away. I beat them all." "Great, we gotta keep those numbers high. How was your training travel?" he asked. "It was good. I fought with Marshall, Maylene and Bruno in their respective places as I told you. I managed to beat them all. I also did some stops at Saffron to meet the karate master and at Cyanwood to train with Chuck, and I kept running into this kid and his Riolu. We had 2 battles. I decimated him in the first, but he managed to tie with Groplocked in the second somehow. He's still a newbie, but I'll admit he has potential." "Is that so?" Hollister asked with interest, since it was unusual of B to recognize the strength of beginner trainers. "What's his name?" "I think it was." B thought for a moment, trying not to say, "Riolu's trainer, Ash, that's it." "Ash?" Hollister asked, surprised. "You mean Ash Ketchum?" "Yeah, that one." B answered. "Do you know him?" "Of course I do. He's a champion after all." This statement caused B to froze in her place as Hollister yawned. "Anyway, I'm going to sleep. Good night, B." After Hollister left B alone in the living room, it took her a few minutes to finally react. "He's a what?" Next day, after quite a normal night, Hollister woke up from his sleep, getting up from his bed and walking out of his room wearing his purple pajamas. He walked past B's room and noticed she wasn't there. Nothing weird. B likes to wake up early for her training, although the room seemed like it hadn't been touched at all. Everything was in the same place as Hollister had kept during the time B was away, and although she wouldn't admit, B tends to be pretty messy regarding anything that's not her training. Hollister went downstairs and kept walking until he made it to the kitchen, where he prepared himself a simple milk and cereal breakfast. He then went to the living room to watch some TV, but there he found B, walking in circles with some magazines thrown on the ground. "B, are you?" Hollister tried to call her, but she ignored him, while Hollister noticed the tired look on her face. "You didn't sleep?" "No, Hollister, I pulled an all-nighter," she answered while chuckling. "And you want to know why?" "Because I don't need sleep. I need answers," she shouted out loud, slightly startling her housemate. About what?" he stuttered. "What the hell is this?" B kept shouting, now showing Hollister a magazine that talked about Ash's victory in the Alola League. You didn't know?" he asked. "Of course I didn't," B shouted again. "How did he say what is this nonsense?" "B, I feel like you're overreacting a bit." Hollister tried to calm her down. "He's a champion, Hollister. Why didn't he say so? And most importantly, why would a champion go around with a stupid Riolu and a Farfetch'd? Maybe he just likes to train all his Pokemon." Hollister tried to give a point. "Well, he shouldn't. That was a World Coronation Series battle." "A World Coronation Series battle against ME. A Galar gym leader, and it seems like he couldn't care less. He pretty much gave his rank away." B then took her Rotom phone, where she had been looking at Ash's goals and information. "And what's with that Pikachu? That mouse took down a Regice and a Latios, and apparently Groplocked could put him out like nothing. Why didn't he just electrocuted him while he was using Octolock? It makes no sense." "B, calm down, you're reading too much into it." "No, I'm not," B exclaimed, shredding the Meganize to pieces. "Arg? This doesn't make sense." B kept shouting as she walked outside the house to get some air. Wait, are you? Before Hollister could say anything else, B had already left the house, slamming the door while she walked out. B started walking in circles in front of their house while counting numbers in her head, trying to calm herself and understand the situation. There were way too many questions in her head. Why would a champion not present himself as a champion? Why would a champion fight with such weak Pokemon in a ranked match? Why would a champion hold back with her? Am I not a worthy challenge? She asked herself, taking a deep breath to then sit on the ground and try to meditate, while Hollister simply watched her from a window, worried about her, but wanting to give her some space. After a while, B's Rotom phone ringed, receiving a call from her old friend, Greta. B sighed at first. She wasn't in the mood to talk, but she knew that if she didn't answer, Greta would be calling her all day, so she decided to give in and answer at once. Arena Tycoon reporting. Greta said with a laugh. How's the karate prodigy? What do you want, Greta? B asked, uninterested. Geez, how rude. Greta laughed again. All right, if you'll be like that, then I'll cut straight to the point. Have you heard about the P1 Grand Prix? It's a fighting type tournament held in Kanto, right? B asked, and Greta nodded. Correct. And this year it'll take place in my arena, Gerda replied with a proud grin. It's the first time ever they give us this chance. I'm really excited. Well, good for you, I guess. B replied, rolling her eyes. Point is that I'm calling 'cause I was wondering if you would like to come by and participate, Greta said. Like, I've heard from the other fighting type experts that you've been running around the regions wrecking everybody. I imagined you'd like to get a bit more of that winning streak. B though about it for a moment before sighing. On normal situations she would decline, but what was going on her head right now was far from normal. You know what? I'm in. I really need a bit of fresh air and a tournament could help me. I'm on my way. I'll be waiting, Greta smiled as she cut the call. B then walked back inside the house, going directly to her room to prepare her things, while Hollister went to check on her soon after. B, is everything all right? He asked from the door. I'm off to Kanto. B answered. I'll attend a tournament there. Why, you're off again? Hollister asked. But you just came back. What about the gym challengers? Don't worry about it, Hollister. You can take care of them, she said. Besides, not that many people come by to stow on site anyway, as if the name didn't left that clear. If anything, I should ask you to come with me and close the gym for a while. I think I'll pass. You know, it's not easy for me to get into new environments. Well, maybe next time. B finished her preparations and took her backpack before giving Hollister a head pat. I'll be back in a few days. Sure, take care. Hollister nodded while she left their home. Some good fights are all I need to forget about this problem with Ash, B said to herself. Speaking of Ash, after their adventure to get a Lucarionite in Mega Island, he had to part ways with Go, who had received a special mission from Project Mew which demanded him to go alone. On the other side, Ash received a notification on his Rotom phone, revealing that his next opponent in the Ultra class of the World Coronation Series was going to be none other than Greta. Coincidentally, Karina was going to attend to the P1 Grand Prix, so they decided to go to Kanto together, not without doing a quick stop for someone. Primeape, overheat. Ash ordered as his Pokemon breathed in and expelled a fiery stream from his nose at Greta's Hariyama, leaving the latter defeated and ending a fierce battle against Greta with the help of Sirfetch'd and Lucario, who defeated Greta's Medicham and Umbreon respectively. Hariyama is unable to battle. The Rotom drone flew down to the Hoenn Pokemon. Primeape is the winner and the victory goes to Ash Ketchum. After the announcement, Ash smiled as his rank rose up from 64 to 50, while Greta simply clapped and sighed as her own rank went down from 32 to 45. Great job, Ash, Karina cheered while rolling to him after watching the battle. Yup, congratulations. Greta said, walking to him as well. You really pinned me down. Thanks, guys. Ash smiled at the compliments and hugged his Primeape. And thanks to you too, you were amazing. Prime. The Pokemon happily hugged him back as Ash laughed. I'm sorry for leaving you alone all that time, but it seems like you became really strong. All that training gave some rewards, huh? You better keep using the guy during the rest of the season, Greta said at the fighting type, who jumped around excited at the idea. Meanwhile, a few meters away, B was entering the arena. She had her look down and was still thinking about her matches with Ash, STHAT was until Greta's voice pulled out her thoughts. She spotted her in the distance and walked to where she was, without noticing the people she was talking to. Hey, Greta, I'm here. Sorry for delay, I was. B stopped mid-sentence once she was close enough to recognize the people who were with Greta. Her eyes widened and she felt like she could hear her own blood pressure rising. Hello there, B. Greta waved at her and then pointed at Ash. Look who's paying me a visit. You. B trailed off with anger in her voice while staring at Ash. Oh, hey B. Ash greeted her. How you doing? I'm really not in the mood for this. B answered annoyed. Why are you everywhere I go? I don't know. Ash answered blankly. Nice to meet you again, B. Karina tried to talk with her, but B ignored her, keeping her sight on Ash. What are you doing here? B continued to ask. Well, Greta and I had a world coronation match and I won, he explained. Of course you did. B rolled her eyes, and I came here for the P1. Karina added, yet B still didn't pay her attention. Well, since you are here, how about we have a rematch too? He offered to B. And you're gonna use Riolu, I guess? B asked. Well, yes, but Ash was about to say Riolu had evolved but B interrupted him. Then I'm not interested. Champion. B forced that last word out of her mouth. Oh, that, I didn't know you knew that. Ash laughed embarrassed. It was a. B sighed. Recent discovery. Could you two stop ignoring me? Karina asked with a frown. I'm not talking to you. B answered without looking at her. This looks like some good drama, so I'll stand back for now. Greta thought from her side as one of her students passed her some popcorn. Oh, come on, we are all trainers here, aren't we? Karina asked her. Yeah, sure. B finally looked at Karina. Do I have to remind you how I perfectly beat you 3-0? Hey. I've trained a lot since then. Karina quickly looked for Lucario's poke ball. Come on, I'll show you. I won't waste my time with you, B finally shouted. To think a weakling like you dares to call herself a gym leader. You're nothing but a disgrace. Hey you. Ash stood in front of Karina while looking firmly at B. No one insults my friends. And what will you do about it? B exclaimed, refusing to back down at that point and raising her fist at Ash. If you even touch him I swear I'll kill you. Karina quickly pulled Ash away from B. Master Greta, shouldn't you intervene? One of her students asked. I want to see how far this goes actually, Greta answered. How cute. B laughed at them. So you need your girlfriend to stand up for you cause you can't do it on your own? You're just like her. You're no champion. You're just a kid who thinks he's special cause he won a stupid tournament on a nowhere island against a bunch of nobodies. How pitiful. B. Listen Ash still wanted to calm down the situation and was about to answer but Karina stood in front of him to look directly at B. Ash is 10 times more the trainer than you'll ever be. Karina shouted. He's an amazing person and friend and if you don't see that then the only pitiful one here is you. Karina, that's enough. Ash put himself in front of her and tried to calm her down. No, Ash, it's not, she stammered. We can't just let her do us like this. Karina, listen, she's not worth the trouble, he said. That sentence finally struck B's nerves. She suddenly grabbed Ash by the collar of his shirt with one hand and pulled him closer to her. So I'm not worth the trouble, huh? B asked as she raised her free fist, but before she could do anything, Karina dashed to them with her skates and raised her left leg aiming an axe kick at B's face, who barely managed to move away in time, letting Ash go in the sudden movement and causing him to stumble on the floor, while B then took a few steps back as Karina stood in front of Ash again. I warned you, didn't I? Karina clenched her fists and tried to hold onto whatever self-restraint she had left. You try that again. You get 1 inch closer to him, and you're really not going to like what happens next. I'd like to see you try to do anything, B replied and was about to take another step forward. Enough. Greta shut them all down and stood between the two. All right people, try to calm down. It was awkward for me to interject earlier, so I was just standing by, but I can't allow this to escalate further. I don't understand what's going on between you three, but this is not the kind of fighting we do in my arena, so whatever you're up to, you won't do it here, and sorry, B, but since you started all the ruckus, I'm afraid I'll ask you to leave. Listen up, Ketchum. I challenge you to a rematch, B shouted again. A full 6-on-6 and I want you to take me seriously this time. Take you seriously? Ash asked as Karina helped him to stand up. What are you talking about? What do you think? B kept shouting, even more frustrated. You call yourself a champion but you run around using some of your weakest Pokemon in battle, so you think I'm not worth the trouble, right? Well, this time it'll be different. So I don't want to see your Riolu and I don't want to see your Farfetch'd. I want you to use your strongest Pokemon against me, and even then, I will win. I will show you I am a real threat for you in the competition. All my Pokemon are strong on their own. Ash tried to reason with her. Farfetch'd and Riolu have both evolved, if you could. I said no. B interrupted him again. I'm not facing those two worthless excuses of fighting type again. Worthless? Ash gave her a cold glare. Far from being enough to bother B, but more than enough to scare Karina, even though she was willing to cut B in half a few moments ago. You heard me clear. B said. Fine, B, I accept your challenge. Ash finally gave in. Then it's decided. Our battle will be at my gym in Stow-on-Side. You have 2 days. B walked out of the dojo and everyone stood silent for a moment. What? Just what was all that? Greta asked. I'm not totally sure, but if she wants a real fight, then she will get one. Karina, when are you? Karina? Ash tried to call her but he quickly noticed the blonde was shedding some tears. Sorry, Karina swept her tears before continuing. I guess she's somewhat right, I didn't stand a chance against her at all. She admitted as the word, disgrace, resounded in her mind. Hey, don't let her get into your head. Ash put both hands over her shoulders and she looked down at him. Their height difference was prompted to cause some chuckles, even from them too. Listen, Karina, I don't care about what B says, as I told you, she's not worth the trouble, I think. No, I know you're an amazing gym leader, your grandfather is really proud of you, we all are, you would never be a disgrace. Thanks. Karina put her hands over Ash's and squeezed them a little as the two blushed slightly. And, you were gonna ask me something? Yeah, when are you going back to Kalos? Ash asked. Tomorrow morning. She answered. Then I'll go with you. Ash said with a smile. There's someone special I'll need for this. Some hours later in Stow-on-Side. Welcome back, B. Hollister greeted her again but she ignored him and kept walking to her personal training room. B. B entered the training room and stood in front of a boxing dummy as she breathed in. She then landed a powerful punch on it, sending the dummy to a wall and breaking it into pieces. Most people would be scared by that demonstration of strength, but Hollister was already used to it. Sorry, she sighed. I needed to take that out. What happened? Hollister asked walking to her. I thought you'd be off for a few days. B thought about what to say, but didn't want to give him the details. She didn't want to make Hollister part of the problem. Let's just say I had a discussion. You want to talk about it? Not today, Hollister, I'm sorry. The point is that I'll have a battle in the gym in 2 days, so I guess you'll have me until then. That's great. Hollister smiled. I'm almost sure I can beat you in dragons and more dragons now. Yeah, sure, get the board ready, I'm gonna crush you. Hollister smiled more widely and went to prepare everything and B couldn't help but chuckle at him. They were pretty much all that the other had. Hollister's parents died when he was younger and B's parents never cared much for her, since they adopted each other, as he likes to refer to it. They've been like a family. It was a little unbroken family, but it was still a good one. However, the laughs died down as the battles with Ash quickly drowned her mind. Of course he thinks I'm weak. I tied against that Riolu even though I defeated Karina's Mega Lucario. I have to show him how strong I am. Between all her self-banter, B suddenly remembered her heated discussion with Ash and Karina. It was just too unusual of her to act like that, but she was somehow willing to punch Ash there in front of everyone. If Hollister found out he'd be very disappointed. Why am I getting so frustrated over this? She's not worth the trouble. Why'd I care so much about what he thinks of me? 2 days later. Well, this is it. Ash and Karina were now standing outside of the Stow-on-Side gym still thinking about what happened with B. You okay? Karina asked him. I'll be fine, he answered. Just one thing. Ash released Farfetch'd and Lucario from their Pokeballs. You two will stay with Karina. B said she didn't want to fight you but I still want you to watch the match, alright? he asked, and the two fighting types nodded. Pikachu, you too. Ash looked at his partner. Copy? Pikachu gave him a frown. It's all right. I'll call you down if I need you, okay? Pikachu nodded at him and then jumped to Karina's shoulder. I'll take care of them. Karina assured him. Thanks, Karina, wish me luck. Ash waved goodbye as Karina walked to the stands and he entered the battlefield. Ash entered the place through a tunnel. The first thing he saw was Bee waiting for him in the middle of the stadium, and Ash walked to her until they were only a few feet away. So you're here, she said without making eye contact with him. What? You expected me to back down? Ash asked with a baleful look, and Bee stood silent as the Rotom drone descended to explain the rules. Greeting Pokefans. Rotom here. This will be an official World Coronation Series match between Ash Ketchum and the gym leader Bee. Bee huffed a little by the fact that the Rotom drone didn't mention Ash was a champion. Per request and agreement, this battle will be a 6-on-6 match. No special conditions are applied and all gimmicks and switches are allowed, understood? Ash and Bee nodded at the question and the Rotom drone took flight. The screen of the stadium then turned on, showing the stats of a full battle. Trainers, take your position and release your first Pokemon. A referee assisting the drone said as Ash and Bee walked to their side of the battlefield, both taking a Pokeball in hand, with Ash being the first to call out. Charizard, I choose you. Ash's first fire type appeared in the battlefield with a fearsome roar that shook the place. The flame Pokemon then looked at Ash and expelled a controlled flamethrower onto him, causing them both to laugh. He fulfilled my request at least. Bee said, annoyed. Let's do it, Hitmontop. Bee called the Pokemon onto the field as well. If both trainers are ready, then the battle begins now, the referee shouted. Hitmontop, drill run. Bee called for the first move and Hitmontop jumped in the air, rotating his body and charging himself at Charizard. The latter, however, simply stood still and raised a claw, stopping Hitmontop's run flat. Hitmon. What the? Bee exclaimed. You wanted me to take you seriously? Ash shouted at Bee. Then fine, seismic toss. Still holding Hitmontop by his head, Charizard flew to the sky to then spun in the air and zoomed back down, tossing Hitmontop into the ground. Air slash. Charizard flapped his wings as multiple blue blades were shoot out of them, falling onto Hitmontop and leaving him defeated. Hitmontop is unable to battle. Charizard is the winner, the referee exclaimed. What in the world? The Rotom drone shouted, surprised. With 2 mere hits, Ash already took the advantage of this fight. Our return, Hitmontop. Bee said in disbelief as she recalled her Pokemon, doing her best to not express surprise. This doesn't mean anything, Bee, she said to herself. Hitmontop is one of your weakest. We are just warming up. Great job, Charizard, Ash said as the Pokemon landed. Now let's keep going. Here it goes. Hawlucha. Bee's second Pokemon was the Luchador, who glided onto the battlefield and she instantly ordered a move. Flying Press. Flamethrower. Hawlucha tried to hit from above, but Charizard kept him away with the flamethrower. Use Thunder Punch. Hawlucha raised a fist as it was surrounded by electricity. It then flew to Charizard, managing to land a clean hit on his stomach and electrocute him. Bounce. Bee kept ordering, and while Charizard was recovering from the electric shock, Hawlucha jumped and kicked him on his face a few times, pushing back the lizard. Now Brave Bird. Counter with Dragon Rush. Charizard roared as he was surrounded by purple energy and flew at high speed against Hawlucha, easily outpowering the Brave Bird and crashing him against the ground, but Hawlucha was still willing to fight. Flying Press. Seismic Toss. Charizard flew up and caught Hawlucha midair, taking him to the skies and then tossing him down, leaving him knocked out with the impact. Hawlucha is unable to battle. Charizard is the winner. Thanks, Hawlucha. Bee recalled the flying type and she changed Ultra Balls. Groplocked, you're up next. The octopus jumped into the fight. Once it landed, he sensed a presence in the stands, so he looked up until he spotted Ash's Lucario, who was looking at him. Both Pokemon traded glares, disappointed that they wouldn't fight again, but excited to know they'll meet another time. Ash noticed this and smiled, but Bee didn't pay attention to it. She was trying to focus on the battle. Just 4 left, she thought. No, we can still make it. Meanwhile, up in the stands, Karina was watching in amazement at the fight. Wow, that Charizard is really strong, She was more than surprised by the strength of the Pokemon. Not only she didn't know Ash had one, but Hitmontop and Holocha were two of the Pokemon that Bee had used against her. They defeated her Mienshao and her Machamp respectively, and even so, Charizard took them both out without much trouble. Keep going, Ash. You got this. She cheered on him out loud along Pikachu, Lucario and Sirfetch'd. Thanks Charizard, now return. Ash recalled his Pokemon, not wanting to wear him out. Crocodile, I choose you. The dark ground was the next to enter the scene, as he adjusted his glasses with a smug look on his face. Ash has called for a switch to his Crocodile. Rotom Drone continued the narration. What a good joke. Bee thought. Switching a flying for a dark type, what is he supposed to? Aerial Ace. Ash shouted. The what? Bee exclaimed as Ash's Crocodile ran at Groplock surrounded by streaks of wind and knocked him back. Arg. Octolock. Groplock jumped in the air and tried to grab Crocodile from above. Stone Edge. Crocodile crossed his arms as he was surrounded by two rings of spiky rocks that he used to protect himself from Groplock, as the latter was hurt by the rocks when he tried to drop himself into Crocodile. The Univan then tossed the rocks at him, knocking Groplock back again. Stone Edge again. Close combat. Groplock quickly reacted and tossed various blows to the air, turning the rocks into dust. Aerial Ace. While Groplock was distracted countering the projectiles, Crocodile took a chance and glided to him, landing another clean hit. Use Liquidation. Groplock jumped again as one of his arms was surrounded by swirling water. Aqua Tail. Crocodile's tail did the same and spun around, deviating the liquidation and then smacking Groplock down. Dragon Claw. Crocodile's claw was covered by light blue energy as he gave Groplock an upper slash sending him flying up. Aerial Ace. Ash ordered and Crocodile jumped up to attack while Groplock was still falling. L Liquidation. Groplock tried to counter but he couldn't make it in time. Crocodile slashed through him and the octopus fell knocked out. Groplock is unable to battle. Crocodile is the winner. And just like that, Bee has lost half her team while Ash's barely has a scratch. Rotom Drone kept narrating, which wasn't helping in making Bee feel any better. Groplock was one of her strongest Pokemon and he didn't do much progress either. Bee returned him with a sigh, but she wasn't going to back down from this, not after all she said. Pangoro, your turn, she called out her fourth Pokemon. Thanks, Crocodile. Ash called for a switch again. Charizard, I choose you. What is he up to now? Bee asked seeing Ash was searching for something on his pocket. Here we go. Ash took his Z-ring and put it on his wrist along his Z-crystal. Hey, Ash, it's been a while, weird of you calling me, is there something you need? Nice to see you, Kiave. Yes, there's a little favor I'd like to ask you. You still have your flying EMZ? Let's do this. Charizard. Ash shouted and Charizard struck a series of synchronized poses with him as the Z-power built up around them and Charizard was surrounded by a blue windy aura. What in the? Bee stood looking for a moment, but she quickly reacted. Don't just stand there Pangoro, Hammer Arm. Pangoro ran at Charizard and tried to land the move, but Charizard flew up just in time. The fire starter then spun around the battlefield picking up speed. Supersonic Sky Strike. Ash shouted and Charizard dove down crashing onto Pangoro, creating a massive explosion and sending the panda down to the ground and defeated. Pangoro is unable to battle. Charizard is the winner. 4 down. Ash said. He then noticed Charizard was a little exhausted. Made sense, it was his first time trying a Z move. Thanks, Charizard. He said as he recalled him and replaced him with Crocodile again. You won't get away with this. Bee shouted recalling Pangoro and tossing another Ultra Ball. Phalanx, no retreat. A group of 6 small spherical Pokemon took place in the battlefield standing in the straight line. Hearing Bee's order, the group changed formation, standing side to side as all their stats were raised. Aerial Ace on the bigger one. With a quick movement Crocodile glided forward and hit the leading Phalanx separating it from the rest of the group. Keep him away from the others. Dragon Claw. Crocodile slashed the brass various times knocking him as far as he could from the rest of the Phalanx, who were trying to catch up to them. Use Close Combat. Bee ordered and the leader was about to order the same but Crocodile slashed him down before he could repeat the orders to his comrades. Aqua Tail. Keep them separated. Crocodile's tail was surrounded by water and he swung it around, knocking the rest of Phalanx in different directions. Brass. Megahorn. B ordered at the leader as its horn was surrounded by a green energy and he thrusted it onto Crocodile, knocking him far back to Ash and giving time for the 6 Phalanx to stand together again. Don't let him separate you again, B shouted, and the Phalanx stomped in unison. Alright. Enough playtime. Ready, Crocodile? Ash asked and his Pokémon smirked. Ash then put on his Dynamax band and activated it as it absorbed the energy of the surroundings to then return Crocodile as the Pokeball grew in size. You gotta be shitting me. B trailed off. Crocodile, Dynamax. Ash tossed the ball to the air and Crocodile came out with an increased size. His glasses, however, fell off from him since they didn't grow as well, but Ash caught them in his hand. Brace yourselves. B ordered at the Phalanx. Crocodile, Max Airstream. Crocodile roared and opened his mouth, firing a giant tornado at the Phalanx, who were taken up by the winds and then smacked down onto the battlefield. Max Airstream again. Use Protect. The Phalanx stood in a pyramid formation and summoned a green shield. They absorbed most of the damage, but the wind threw them down anyway. This isn't. Max Geyser. Not even giving them time to react, Crocodile's tail was surrounded by a whirlpool and he smacked it down onto the Phalanx, creating a huge mist explosion as rain started to fall from above. Crocodile returned to his normal size and Ash tossed him his glasses. And once the mist cleared, the 6 Phalanx could be seen defeated. Phalanx is unable to battle. Crocodile is the winner. No. B shouted. Just one more left. Ash sighed and looked up at the rain as Crocodile laughed. Thank you, Crocodile, you set us up, we'll take care of the rest, he said, recalling him. B recalled the Phalanx and looked up at the screen, which signaled how Ash had beaten 5 of her Pokémon, while using only 2 of his. This isn't. B clenched her fists and looked at Ash. This won't end like this. I won't let it end like this. B searched for her last Ultra Ball and tossed at the battlefield with force. Let's go, Machamp. Machamp stood ready to fight and then looked up at the screen just like B did earlier, surprised to see how the battle was down to 5-0. Even thought Ash had only used 2 Pokémon. Machamp then looked back at her trainer concerned. We're going to win this, B assured her. He's just another challenger. It's up to you. Ash raised another Pokeball in the air. It's his turn. Karina smiled up in the stands. Let's go. Greninja, I choose you. The frog jumped into the fight, standing up tall and looking back at Ash, giving him a nod, which Ash returned. How? B looked at the screen again. How is this happening? She asked herself. He can't be that strong. I gotta. B was about to activate her Dynamax band, but she stopped herself. No, I only got one shot with this. I gotta try to back him down somehow. I'll save it for later. Ready to keep going, B? Ash asked. Shut up, she shouted. You better don't think for 1 second that you're going to win. You're not gonna defeat me. Do I have to remind you how I'm perfectly beating you 5-0? Ash used the same phrase that B had said to Karina, managing to streak a nerve on her again. What's with you? B stuttered. Listen, B, I'm not a hostile person by any means. If you have a problem with me then fine, you do you. He said. But when you insult my friends, when you call my Pokémon worthless, that's when I draw the line. He shouted with anger as Greninja prepared for battle, sensing his feelings. Ash. Karina looked from above, worried for him. What do you think you're doing talking like that? B shouted back at him. You think you're intimidating me? Why, you think I'm scared of you? B then let out an extremely angry grunt. This is gonna end just like our first battle, with you crying down on the floor. Ash sighed again. Well, this conversation isn't going anywhere. Until we agree. Close combat. Don't let her touch you. Block it with Night Slash. Greninja crossed his arms. A black kunai-shaped blade appeared on each hand and he quickly started using the edges of the kunai to block the Machamp's fists, quickly finding an opening and slashing Machamp on her chest. Aerial Ace. Greninja's arms and legs were surrounded by a white light as he attacked Machamp with both knees at the same time. Greninja then jumped up and punched with the Aerial Ace, pushing Machamp back slightly. High Horsepower. Machamp was surrounded by orange energy as she ran to Greninja, trying to tackle him. Double Team. Greninja divided himself into 3 copies. Machamp saw this in time and managed to tackle the 3, But all of them were clones, with the real Greninja then appearing behind her. Water Shuriken. Greninja quickly tossed 2 Shuriken A at Machamp's back, sending her flying away. Poison Jab. Machamp managed to land on her feet and one of Machamp's fists was surrounded by purple sparks as she ran to Greninja again, trying to hit him on his chest. Night Slash. Once again, Greninja used the edge of the kunai to block the move. Greninja then made an upward slash and jumped in the air to then fall down with a double downward slash aiming at Machamp's face after that, knocking her down again. Machamp, you're not focusing. B called at her Pokemon who got up with difficulty as it rubbed her face. And I'm not focusing either. She thought to then look at Ash. How can he get into my nerves so easily? Aerial Ace. Greninja jumped one more time, trying to land a hook kick, but Machamp managed to react last second and grabbed his leg with one of her upper arms. Great job. Now smack him to the ground. Double team. Greninja summoned 3 more clones and these attacked Machamp in various spots at the same time, giving Greninja time to set himself free from her grasp. The clones then kept attacking Machamp on their own. Thanks to a big amount of training, Greninja learned how to transfer a small amount of his energy onto each clone. Now he was able of using them not only for decoy but also to attack. Their hits were less powerful than his, but they give him the number advantage. Close combat. B shouted desperately as Machamp launched a barrage of punches around destroying all the clones. Water Shuriken. Don't give her a break. Greninja spun around creating a small whirlpool and shooting several water shuriken at Machamp. Bullet Punch. Machamp's 4 fists were covered in silver as she punched repeatedly with all of them destroying almost all of the shuriken. Thought some of them got through and hit her, forcing Machamp to kneel down as she tried to recover. Aerial Ace. Greninja jumped at Machamp again landing 2 uppercuts one after the other and then landing a straight kick on her face. Poison Jab. Machamp stood up again and tried to attack but her movements became slower due to the exhaust and Greninja simply used his speed to jump away from her, while Machamp fell to her nest one more time. Looks like Machamp is on her last legs, everybody, the Rotom drone said. You piece of. B clenched her fists again and looked at her Dynamax band. Arg? Fine then. Let's just destroy everything. B shouted as she activated her Dynamax band and recalled her Pokemon. Machamp, Gigantamax. She shouted tossing the ball up with all her strength and the giant Pokemon came out of the Pokeball, causing a small earthquake as she roared while her fists flooded with energy. Let's do it. Greninja. Ash and Greninja stood in the same position as the frog was surrounded in a veil of water. Here it comes. Karina trailed off excited as Lucario and Sirfetch'd looked expectantly at the battlefield and Pikachu smiled knowing what was coming. Feel the power of our bond. He shouted as the water veil turned into a shuriken on the back of Ash Greninja, which now stood in the battlefield fully transformed as the stadium roared and cheered. Just how many tricks does he has? B asked herself. Alright, let's see if we still got it. Ash laughed a bit. Like we planned. Greninja raised the shuriken on his back up in the air as this grew bigger and bigger by absorbing the rain that was falling, quickly growing 10 times the size of Greninja. Fuma Shuriken. Ash shouted as Greninja tossed the shuriken around, exploding into Machamp's chest creating a huge explosion and causing the Gigantamax to stumble. Yup, still got it. Ash grinned confidently. Use Max Quake. Machamp got up again and raised one of her fists to then punch the ground, causing an explosive earthquake that cracked open the whole battlefield, sending various giant rocks flying at Greninja. Double Team. Greninja divided himself into various copies that jumped around avoiding the rocks while they ran to the giant Machamp. Aerial Ace. All the Greninja jumped at the same time to Machamp attacking her from various directions as she punched around trying to destroy as many copies as she could. Water Shuriken. The remaining Greninjas jumped in the air and started throwing stars while Machamp covered herself with her arms and B stood paralyzed, finally realizing Ash has been overwhelming her since the beginning of the battle. G-Max Kai Strike. She finally shouted. Machamp then roared and a rain of energy fists came down from the sky, exploding onto the battlefield. All the clones disappeared, but the real Greninja suddenly appeared falling from above. Max Steel Spike. A giant silver drill-shaped energy appeared on one of Machamp's hand as she tried to stab Greninja with it. The frog quickly flipped midair and created a water orb on his hand, using it to slide along the drill and jumping right in front of Machamp. He then turned the orb into a shuriken, tossing at the middle ridge on Machamp's head, and this impact caused a paralyzing pain to flow through the giant's body. Aerial Ace. Once he was in front of Machamp's face, Greninja raised his right leg and dove down with an axe kick, tracing a white line down Machamp's whole body, visually cutting it in half. The superpower Pokemon then exploded as the Gigantamax wore off and she fell to the battlefield defeated, and the battle finally ended. Machamp is unable to battle. Greninja is the winner and the battle goes to Ash Ketchum. Machamp is down. It's over. The Rotom drone informed as the whole stadium cheered. Greninja then landed safely and returned to his normal form as Ash knelt down exhausted. Ash. Karina jumped to the battlefield along Ash's Pokemon to check on him. Are you okay? She asked as she helped him stand up.
I'm great, sorry, Ash answered with a bit of difficulty. It's been a while since the last time I did that. I forgot. Ash was about to fall again, but Karina caught him as he laughed. I forgot how much energy I had to put into it.
Don't scare me like that. Karina let out a sigh of relief as she instinctively hugged him, something that surprised both, but neither of them seemed to complain. On her side of the field, Bee walked to her partner and returned her, looking at the Ultra Ball for a second. Thanks girl, you did your best, you all did. Bee then looked up to the screen. This was, by far, the most humiliating loss she ever had. Even when she fought Leon, she could take out 2 of his Pokemon in a full battle. But this? A clean 6-0 when Ash only used half his team. How could she lose like that? While Bee kept contemplating the screen, her Rotom phone then floated in front of her. The battle has ended. Your ranking will now be updated. It informed, and the number obviously started to go down. Bee expected that. What she didn't expect was the ranking to go under 100. Then under 200, under 300, and it just kept going down and down until it finally stopped. Bee froze at the number, standing quiet until she finally reacted. 1119. Bee shouted while grabbing the phone. I'm down to normal class. But how? How is that possible? He defeated your 6 Pokemon while only using 3, her Rotom phone answered. Not to mention, he did it without losing any of his. I had to take in consideration your performance in the battle. Sorry. Bee then knelt in the battlefield as she started to shed some tears. I just wanted to, Bee? And called her back to reality. She looked up as she saw him looking down at her along Karina. Are you okay? He asked, offering his hand. I don't need your pity. Bee quickly answered. You did what I asked you. You went all out on me and I didn't stand a chance. Well, I have to admit I've never went out this much on anyone before. It doesn't matter. Bee got up by herself and walked away from the battlefield. That's no good. Alistair said from the stands. Despite Bee's request to not to, he went to see the battle. Needless to say, he has never seen her act like that. After all that, Ash and Karina then walked outside of the stadium, both of them slightly surprised by the outcome of the battle. So, what's your rank now? Karina asked. I'm 34. Ash answered. You just wait, I'll be in master class in no time. I'm sure you will, though I'm kinda sad that I didn't make it any further. I'm still in normal. Gym's been keeping me quite busy. Karina replied, but her eyes suddenly widened as she realized something. Hey, wait a second. Now that I think about it, Pikachu, Lucario and Sirfetch'd were still in your party when you left them with me. Did you seriously go down there with only 3 Pokemon? Well, I guess you could say I was pretty confident in the team, but that's why I had to keep switching. Ash said. Even if the 3 lost, I'm sure Pikachu could have ended it, and even then I was willing to use Lucario and Sirfetch'd even if Bee didn't want to. Geez, you're pretty scary when you want to. I can't even imagine what our battle would have been if you had used that Charizard. I pity the guy who insults your Pokemon. Hey, this one was for you too. It was? Karina asked with a blush as she smiled at him. My, thank you for defending me then. It's not like you need me to defend yourself. The two shared a laugh considering how Bee almost got sliced by her skates. But you stood up for me back then, so I felt the need to stand for you as well. Still, I don't understand why Bee is so mean. I've had rivals before, but this felt like way too much. Maybe we could. Karina thought for a second. Ash, I got an idea. After doing a quick stop, Ash and Karina went to Bee's house, where Alistair received them in the door with his mask on. Oh, hello there. My name is Hollister. Nice to meet you, Hollister. Ash greeted him. Is B here? B. You have visitors. Hollister called her, opening the door of her room where B was simply sitting at the edge of her bed. Hollister, I told you I didn't want to see anybody, she said. I know, but I'm sure you'll be interested in this one. As Hollister said this, Ash and Karina entered her room. Pardon our intrusion. Karina greeted her. Guess I'll leave you three alone. Hollister walked out of the room and closed the door. What are you doing here? B asked almost instantly while looking at Ash. You already humiliated me in regional television, what else could you possibly want? Well, we bought this for you. Ash offered the gift. A chocolate box? B asked uninterested. Well, it was my idea, Karina said. Since Ash told me you had a sweet tooth and all that. And why are you giving me this? B kept asking, not getting the point but taking the chocolate anyway. Because I don't want our rivalry to be so sour, Ash said. I know, bad joke. The point is that I don't want to leave things like this. I don't want to leave Galar and feel like you and I are enemies, Karina, and I want to make peace with you. You get that? I get that. B said. But there is a thing that I don't get. Why didn't you fight like that when we first met? Why don't you always fight like that? Why do you hold back? Well, I just kinda feel like it would be a bit exaggerated to go for it all at once, Ash replied. It's not exaggerated, it's a battle. B shouted. You're supposed to use everything you have, to play every card on your sleeve. You have do it all and then do some more. Well, you gave your all in our fight? Ash asked. Of course I did. B exclaimed, honestly offended by the question, and it was pointless. You won. End of the story. But this is not our last battle. Ash insisted. You still owe Lucario and Sirfetch'd a rematch. What for? It's obvious I'm nowhere near your level, B replied. And it's not like I can even fight you anymore. I went all the way down to normal class. Well, you can always fight me, Karina said. I'm still in normal class. Even then, it'll take me weeks or even months to get back to Ultra, and even if I manage to do so, you'll surely be master class by then. It doesn't even need to be a world coronation battle, Ash said. We can always battle outside of it, like normal trainers. Why would I participate in a fight without recognition? B asked. That would be insignificant. Why not just battle to deepen the bond you have with your Pokemon? Ash asked. Why not just battle to get to know the other person better? Karina asked too. Why not just battle for fun? Ash asked again. There's nothing gained from those things. B answered coldly. Just like I didn't gain anything from today's battle. It all sounds like a waste of time. It's not a waste of time. Ash continued. There is significance in having a good time, like when we shared those sweets after our second battle. Weren't you having fun back then? B simply stood silent at that. B, you gained something today. Karina said. It's something that can't be expressed with words, but I think you know what it is, even if you're just pretending to not to. Leave my home. B said firmly. I've had enough of you too. Ash and Karina looked at each other and gave in, leaving B's room and passing through Hollister, who led them to the door and then went to talk again with B, who still had the chocolate in her hands. You'll really just let them go like that? He asked. Why do you care, Hollister? B replied. Because I know you. Hollister answered, taking off his mask. Just like you know me. We've both been through some heavy water and we both have problems interacting with other people. I know you like to be a tough girl, but we opened to each other and things have been great since then. I also tried to make some friends here in Stow-on-Side while you were away, so why can't you open to more people too? Because I don't quite understand those two. B said. Hollister, is there really significance in just having fun? Having a good time? Just doing something that won't affect scores or ranks, something that won't help you in your future. What's the point of it? You know scores and ranks aren't everything, right? Hollister said. Anything in this world that doesn't benefit me somehow feels like a waste of time. B insisted. You seem to take it all so seriously lately, don't you like it when we play together? To be honest, Hollister. B looked at him and sighed. I feel like I just do that to keep you happy. I understand that. Hollister answered, slightly disappointed. But despite how you feel, I feel like I make the most of every day whenever I'm with you. Spending time with you makes me feel happy, and if something makes you happy, makes you feel alive, even if it's just for a moment, then it can't be a waste of time. You get what I mean? B simply looked at the chocolates again and sighed. Wait for me here, okay? I kinda feel like she still hates us, Karina said as they left the house. At least we tried, that's the important thing, Ash said, although he felt like Karina was right. I guess you're going back to Kalos now. You know what? I think I'll stick around with you for now, Karina replied with a smile. You sure? Ash asked surprised. Yeah, if that means I can get to see more battles like that one. I'll stay with you until this season of the world coronation is over at least. I think I'll give big old Jim a little rest. Besides, I don't want you to feel lonely since Go will be busy with all those Project Mu things. Some company is always nice. Ash offered her a handshake. So welcome back to the gang. Thank you. Karina returned the gesture with a giggle. Ash. Karina. B shouted from the door of her house. The two looked back at her and after a bit of hesitation she ran until she was in front of them. Guys, I'm glad you didn't leave yet. I almost forgot about, B clenched her fists and then looked at Ash. Ash, this was a World Coronation Series battle, not a gym match, but even if you're not taking the gym challenge, I want you to have this. B held out a golden badge with symbol of a fist on it as she offered it to Ash. This is the fighting badge, you've truly earned it, please keep it as a reminder of our battle. Thanks, B. Ash smiled and took the badge, happy to see B loosen up a bit. Ash. B took a deep breath before making a sudden bow. I deeply apologize for my behavior. You totally crushed me. I disrespected your title as a champion, I insulted your friends and Pokemon. Please, forgive me. Of course, B, you're forgiven. Ash smiled at her. I'm sorry too, I did say some bad things as well. I deserved that. B replied, standing straight again. I see now I'm not worthy of being called your rival. Your skills are far beyond mine. But I'll grow stronger, my Pokemon and I will grow strong enough to give you a great fight, I promise. Then I guess I'll be waiting for you, Ash said. I'll be anxious for our next battle, she assured him. Karina, B finally looked at her. I'm sorry about what I said to you too, I wasn't thinking clearly back then, I know that's no excuse, but consider you forgiven. Karina interrupted her and smiled as well. That means we'll be having that rematch? I'll be glad to give you another chance in the battlefield, B answered. Oh, you just wait, I'm gonna roll all over you. I'd like to see you try to do anything. B repeated that sentence from earlier but in a much calmer and happier tone, causing the three trainers to laugh. B looked up at the window of her room, noticing Hollister was looking down at them. The boy quickly hid scared and B laughed at this. You two are right. She looked at Ash and Karina again. I think I had forgotten how to simply have a good time. I'll try to remember how to do it for the next time we met. We could all go out or something like that, she said, scratching the back of her head with a light blush. Never mind. Till we meet again. B put her left palm and right fist together as she took one more bow. Karina and Ash then returned the gesture. Till we meet again, they said at the same time and then walked away as B looked at them. You gained something today. It's something that can't be expressed with words, but I think you know what it is, even if you're just pretending to not to. Yeah, I think I know what that is, B said under her breath as she smiled. Until next time. Ash Ketchum. The end. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Now we will see you in the next video.